So there's a huge debate between Ayurveda and traditional Sri Lankan medicine. Is this both the same or is there are differences? And does traditional Sri Lankan medicine originate from Ayurveda? Is the question and the debate that exists. But if you really study the two systems, the types of herbs that's been used, the mechanism that's involved, the way the herbs are being implemented in treatments, all have significant and vast differences in Ayurveda and traditional Sri Lankan medicine. Traditional Sri Lankan medicine is actually more complicated, and then Ayurveda what we have found out is Ayurveda has certain limitations, but traditional Sri Lanka stretches to a more vast area and it covers a wide range of illnesses when it comes to these two subcategories of Eastern medicine. For an example, if you look at ophthalmology or the treatment of eye diseases, or if you take the treatment of bones and in your neuromuscular system, Sri Lankan traditional medicine is more complex and more structured in treating certain diseases than in Ayurveda. Use of fresh herbs, the way that fresh herbs are used is more commonly used in Sri Lankan or traditional medicine than in Ayurveda. Even when you take treating animals in Sri Lankan traditional medicine, it is an element that is vast and that is used more than in Ayurveda. So they are actually not the same, and not that one have derived from another. Probably what we understand is probably Ayurveda has got more feedback from traditional Sri Lankan medicine when the Rishi conference was held and when Ayurveda was formed. So about 6,000 years ago, India was divided into about 300-400 colonies. So it was not one India and there was no one ruler. So the Aryans came to the Hindu regions and then started capturing all the natives. So these are all historical facts. And then once Indo-Aryan civilizations were formed, the Indo-Aryan systems wanted to integrate all these native medicine into a structured system. So when you look at education, you have the structured educational system and you have the unstructured educational system, which was practiced in these tribal communities. So tribal does not mean that they are uneducated or that they lack knowledge or experience. It's just that the systems were different in what we see now. So about 6,000 years ago, there was a Rishi conference where all the medical practitioners got together and they studied what are the medical systems that was used by various native tribes, and they structured it and they formed it into a one system, and then they came out with a book called the Charaka, which is one of the founding books of Ayurveda. So when you look at the Sri Lankan traditional Ayurvedic system or the medical system, it follows a more unstructured mechanism where knowledge is passed from the teacher to the pupil, to the student. So these are two systems that has evolved independently, but when you really look at the complexity of the two systems, Sri Lankan traditional medicine is actually more complicated and more structured than Ayurveda. But some of the founding principles are the same, because the universal truth of treating a human remains the same. Whether you do Western sciences or whether you treat it by Eastern sciences, the healing process remains the same.